Good morning, Don.
Hey Liz, how are you today?
You know what? I'm really good. I'm freezing.
I
Just so
know, I
you
can't
know, if
believe
you're
how cold
watching the
it is.
replay, it's January and it's cold.
That's right. That's right. That's got my extra fuzzy warm stuff on today for sure. Yeah.
I have two pairs of
Anyway,
wool socks on.
pardon?
I have two pairs of wool socks on.
Okay, so everybody has different strategies for dealing with the cold for sure. No, it's great. Just like everybody has different strategies for dealing with everything, right?
That's
So,
right.
well, I want to say welcome everybody to our conversation about the Great Resignation. Liz and I have been doing this for, we're going on 6 weeks, 6 or 8 weeks now. So it's very exciting. A lot of people are catching us here or they're catching us on our YouTube. And I'm excited to say we've just hired someone who is converting all of it into a podcast format. So you'll be able to get it as a download for a podcast as well, probably starting in about a week. We should have a lot of them done. So I'm very excited about that because podcasting kind of seems to be the way to go, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So today, Liz, so we've been looking at the 11 forgotten laws, right? The 11
Mhm.
forgotten laws that Bob Proctor has talked about. Now, I know other people have talked about these laws, but that's the go-to resource that we've been using in talking about the 11 forgotten laws. And the reason why we're talking about these different laws in the context of the Great Resignation is that when you are thinking, if you're an employee, and you're thinking about leaving a job, you want to make sure that you've thought it through so that whatever the issues were in your current role don't follow you to the next place
Yeah.
that you go, right? Because everywhere you go, there you are, right? So
Escape you.
I know you hear about these people who say, well, I'm going to change jobs. And then they're mad at that boss and they're mad at that company. And it's like, what's the common denominator here? And then if you are an entrepreneur, you've already made the big jump. You posted an article yesterday, another 4.5 million people left their jobs. Now, some of them went to other jobs and some of them are staying home and some of them are just trying to figure something out, right? But that's another 4.5 million people left their current employment, which is crazy, right? I mean, people never
Yeah.
did this in the
I
past.
saw in an article yesterday the number one job in 2021 was freelancing.
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
you know what?
That's
Freelancing,
unusual. Mhm.
it's a really great gig, but you know what? If you have never freelanced before, there's a whole lot to think about, right? So
There is.
that's why we're doing these kinds of conversations. And we'd love to hear from employers, from HR managers, the kinds of things that we're talking about here, we think are also really important for you, the HR managers, because there are certain ways that you have approached keeping these really great people that you have put all this money into training and they've been strong producers, and how do you keep them? And the things that we're talking about here can also be flipped over to be used as for an HR manager as well. So if you're an HR manager, we'd love to talk to you. We'd love to have you on the show.
That's right.
Join us.
We would.
That would be awesome.
My cat wanted to join the conversation. So here she is, everybody.
Okay.
Every now and then
Hey,
she'll join.
Pumpkin. Good morning,
Yes.
Pumpkin. Yeah,
So I
so
think you
today
bring up a really great point with regards to that. Whether you're an employer, whether you're an employee, this process and these questions that we bring and these laws are really helpful with regards to any change that you're doing in your life, right? So
right.
today we're talking about the law of receiving.
Right. You want to talk about that? You want to kick us off with that, Liz?
Well, let's kind of just go back and say, I would like to remind ourselves, the first one was the law of thinking, correct? The second one,
the law of supply.
the law of supply.
Right.
The
So
law of attraction.
there's plenty to go around. You just may not be able to see it. Right. Then there's the law of attraction, which was yesterday. And then today is the law of receiving.
Yes. And the law of thinking is like kind of observing your thoughts to make sure they're not the exact same thoughts as yesterday. Right.
Right.
And to make sure that you're having new thoughts and new patterns and not just kind of like Groundhog Day over and over and over again. Which would be horrible, but sometimes we get caught.
But in some ways, we are in Groundhog Day over and over again.
Yep.
because we think the same things. We're upset about the same things. We have the same conversations with the same people over and over again. And in many, we just wear different clothes and we call it a different day. But in many ways, our lives really are Groundhog Day over and over again.
And if there's a time to be aware of that, it's during a pandemic.
Yes. And in January, when you're looking to make resolutions or goals or something like that, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So the law of receiving, it's really interesting if we think here and talk about the law of receiving. It's probably the thing that if you've listened to us enough, you've heard me talk about shimmying, right? You shimmy into things. Sometimes when we talk about the law of receiving, we ask for things like the law of attraction, and we want these things in our life, but we don't always see them or receive them. And it's kind of like, I wonder why. And right now, I'm just going to give you a secret. Don't ask the question, why? Why has it not come? Why? Because you're just going to spiral into all these other things, right? It's, in my opinion, one of those questions you don't want to get involved in asking yourself. But the law of receiving is really kind of allowing yourself to receive the things that you have asked for and that you find really important in your life. So, but oftentimes we can't always see it. We can't see it at the time that we ask for it or the time that we're really wanting to appreciate it. So we may have to actually pause and stop and transition to something else in our life that is working well and appreciate that and receive that so it can translate over into the other things. So that's a good place to kind of start off and pause. Everybody has different ways of relating to that. Dawn, I know you have a different way to explain it. That might resonate with
no, I think there's multiple, like with any definition, there's like 2 or 3 or 4 ways that you could talk about something, right? And I think that there is that thing about receiving. You have to have your eyes open to be able to have it. It could be someone's trying to hand you something and you're like, no, that's when we talked, like yesterday, we talked about the poppy seed cake, right? Right.
And I bring you chocolate.
On Tuesday, we talked about the lemon poppy seed cake, right? If I said I wanted a lemon poppy seed cake and someone was handing me chocolate, right? That's not what I was asking for. And I don't even know how to receive a chocolate cake when what I'm looking for is lemon poppy seed. But what if I took the chocolate cake and then I could go trade it for a lemon poppy seed cake?
Yeah.
But what I often think is that someone might be handing me something and I'm expecting it to be in the form that I wanted. And it's not. I have to be able to convert it into something else. Someone else might want chocolate, but they don't want their lemon poppy seed. So we can trade, or I could just be gracious in accepting what someone is offering me, like to receive the love or the support or the emotional piece that's coming with the gift that they're giving me, like advice. Right.
Or you can also graciously say, I can't hear you right now.
Well, you could, but that's not part of the law of receiving. I think that must be a different law.
That is a different law. You are correct. But the law of receiving is to receive the gifts that are presented to you, right? And sometimes we don't always see them as gifts.
Right. And part of it, when Bob Proctor was talking about it in his video, he talks about how it's kind of like on one side of your hand is giving and one side of your hand is receiving. And you have to be able to give to receive, or do you have to be able to receive in order to give? But it's really both. So if you're giving something, there's something that you receive by giving something. And we're not always open to receiving. Like if I'm giving someone advice or guidance or a gift, because it isn't always a thing, right? I might be giving someone an idea, right? So if I give them something, then I receive some sort of satisfaction or some sort of gratitude or something in return for giving them something, right? And when someone gives me something, they get something in return, right? Like an altruistic good feeling, or they might get more advice, or they might get money or something like that. So you can see receiving in both ways. Like what you were saying is my eyes aren't open, so I can't receive it. And then the whole giving and receiving piece, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And it's really funny, and that's what was kind of having me shimmy a little bit. So if I brought you chocolate cake, you could say no, thank you, or you could receive it, or you could also accept it and exchange it, right? And
Right.
then pass it along to somebody else who might appreciate the chocolate cake. And in return,
Mhm.
you may get lemon cake and you may not, right?
Right.
So, you know, going back to a client we've talked about before with regards to Abby and the whole shimmying thing, sometimes we don't always see it because our eyes aren't open. And sometimes we don't know that's what we want and not what we've truly been asking for. When something's really big, you know you have little pieces of it, right? And you've been asking for this little piece, like a lifestyle business, and you've been shimmying into what that looks like. And then one day you may or may not, it's not going to come all at once sometimes when it's really, really big. But as you shimmy into it and you're able to receive it when it's actually been presented to you, because we had a client who wanted a lifestyle business. And if this opportunity presented itself and she was able to receive it at the time, right?
Mhm.
Because she had shimmied into the clarity with regards to, Dawn, you know you like lemon poppy seed cake, right?
Right.
So you're
Right.
able to ask for lemon poppy seed cake.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right.
So just kind of bringing that up, so sometimes when something's really big and you're asking for it, that in the law of receiving, we may not always see it all at once, but we may see it in little pieces.
We might see like the ingredients. Think of it
Right.
like the ingredients of the poppy seed cake. I can't give you a lemon poppy seed cake, but here I have a jar of poppy seeds if you're going to make one,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or here's the milk that you need
For
for the
the
glaze, because
icing.
I never have milk in my house. But that's the important.
Are you
But I
able to
love that.
make it with water and powdered sugar, or would that just not be good?
I don't know that it would do the same thing, but that's a chemistry issue. I'd have to try
I'd be willing to try that with you. We'll have to try it
it.
one day.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Well, I was also thinking about this receiving when you were talking about, our client Abby, but we have a friend, Linda, who I was talking with her this
Mm-hmm.
morning, and she called and she said, look, I have this idea that I think is really important with regard to the Great Resignation. And so she came offering this really great advice. Now, she is someone who, God, I love Linda. She's such a great promoter of us. Everybody needs a fan like Linda who posts your stuff everywhere. And she and I were talking about, why are we doing it on Dawn Winterhalter Parks instead of on Shimula? And she started telling me, like, when she tries to share it, what's important for her. And I could have
Mm-hmm.
received it as, oh, Dawn, you're doing it wrong, or somebody else has another idea, and oh, I don't have enough time. But I thought, no, I can receive this as the great advice and guidance that it is coming from one of our fans. And you do this for your fans. When you do live videos, when you provide podcasts, when you do blogs, it's not, well, sometimes it's for yourself. It's a way of venting, I suppose, but mostly you're doing it for the people who are going to be listening. And I knew in a moment I had a choice that I could listen from, what a great gift this is that one of my fans has a great idea. Or I could listen from, oh my gosh, right? And the way you receive something, sometimes we receive things, but we don't receive them very graciously. And when you receive things that way, you're not going to necessarily see the value or the benefit of it, or you're not going to have your eyes open enough to see how great it is, right? If somebody came up to me and said, hey, Dawn, here's some poppy seeds, and I wasn't thinking about lemon poppy seed cake, it would be really weird. But I could say, I wonder why they handed me a bottle of poppy seeds. And I could be open and generous and gracious and think about, now what can I do with these?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So anyway, what I realized though is that in talking with Linda and in her gift of giving to me, she was probably getting some satisfaction because she really wants to support her community where she's sharing this.
Yeah.
And it was really a gift to me because she knew she knew we hadn't yet gotten to working with StreamYard and all of these other things. So this morning, as you know, we tried to stream from our Shimula page, and I don't have the permission from this Zoom call.
Which is really interesting.
Zoom, streaming to Facebook, and so there's just more things to figure out. But it was really great because it was a perfect, because we knew we were going to be talking about the law of receiving, and I had the opportunity to kind of do that today, right? Is to really think about receiving from real live practicality kind of a thing.
And it
So,
brings up some of the things that, we've mentioned before is, it's really awesome as you make shifts in life and you learn to receive without interpretation, right?
right.
And kind of get curious, because we've kind of made commitments to ourselves to receive information for what it is, just facts, just information, but also receive gifts, etc., right? Without interpretation, but getting curious. And what it does is it allows it to really be a gift, right? No matter what it is. And I just wrote yesterday on LinkedIn about perfectionism, and that would be like, oh, I didn't do it perfect, as you were saying. So what is being translated to me right now is that I'm not perfect, versus what it really is a gift of hope,
Right.
So I love that. And it brings back, some of the other things that we were talking about with regards to information is information. It's the labels that we put on that can make it a judgment or anything else, or turn that gift or turn that information into something other than what it is as a gift.
That's right. Well, because we are meaning-making machines. We have to make meanings out of everything. It's just in our nature, right? It's just completely in our nature. So what I think would be good for our folks. So another piece of advice I've been hearing is to kind of keep these conversations to about 20 minutes, because they're easily digestible in 20 minutes and not in 30 minutes, although sometimes it takes a little longer when we have guests. But I was thinking about, if you're not sure about how you are about receiving, just start to notice what happens when people offer things. When they offer things, they offer information, they offer money, they offer gifts, they offer advice, they offer whatever they offer, and start to notice how you are receiving it. Just start to notice
beautiful. It. Yeah.
And another thing to do is to start to notice when you give things to people, and especially if you're a parent, you're often giving things to kids. You're giving advice, you're giving the cold shoulder, you're giving discipline, you're giving food, right? Start to notice that part about, as you give something, what are you receiving back? So if I send my daughter a text and I don't hear back, the receiving is, oh, it could be, God, she hasn't responded to, right? Or it could be, oh, she's growing up, she's on her own. This is a good thing. I've been working on this, right? So you want to start to notice that as you give things, what are you receiving from the gift you're giving? Something to play with. How about you? Any thoughts for you about any potential exercises people could do to start to become aware of how they are receiving things?
Yeah, as we're going through in our household and decluttering different rooms, etc. And talked about how each item only has so much joy to give, and been intentionally giving some things away that still have a ton of joy, just not for me or not for my family.
Right.
Be it a necklace, be it a game, be it a vase, be it a whatever it is. I'm really intentional about the things that are in my house. When I look at them, I'm able to receive some feeling of joy or a memory or something, that's really positive and not taking up space, or just another action of having to dust it.
Right.
So I'm that's another way to test how to give, and what do you receive in that process.
Right.
Because it is the same coin, giving and receiving, as Dawn
Yeah,
said.
knowing you dropped it off at Goodwill or at Salvation Army or at one of the women's shelters gives you a different feeling than when you give it to the trash can.
Right. Yeah.
Right. I feel bad throwing anything out if I know someone else might want it or want to repair it. right? So I don't like to give things to my trash can unless it's truly trash, right?
Mhm.
So great. So once again, I'm going to put everything in the, I'll be putting everything into the Facebook chat, the link to Bob Proctor's video, the list of the 11 laws, how you can reach us to talk about where you're headed in the Great Resignation. If you want some support thinking through things, if you're an HR manager and you want to chat with us, or if you want to be on our show, we have quite a few guests. We're lining some more up for the next couple of weeks, and we're very excited to be able to do that. So let us know. And Liz, have a great day.
You too, Dawn. Pumpkin says, have a great day too.